To all viewers of Russian Geopolitics, welcome to this channel. So this channel is designed to all people who want to learn more about geopolitical, people who are just, if you have just initiated to those issues, you can just subscribe to this channel, and like that you could get the latest notification of the videos that I'm producing. So like every week I'm producing a presentation about major geopolitical issues. So feel free to subscribe to this channel, and if you have any comment, please let me know. And if you like my video, don't hesitate to click on like or dislike if you don't like. So today we will talk about conflicts, ongoing and potential conflicts over next weeks and months. So what you have to be aware is right now there is a myriad of conflicts who are ongoing or could potentially erupt over the next week. And one of the conflicts which is currently erupting, which was frozen during months, it was a Houthi conflict, the conflict between Houthi fighters and Saudi Arabia. So it re-erupted, should I say, over the last days, because suddenly Houthi fighters decided to resume hostilities in order to capture the Marib province. So where is this? So where does lie this province? It's a province. It's the only province in northern Yemen which is not under the Houthi control, which lies around 120 kilometers east from Sana'a. And Houthi fighters would like to capture this province due to the fact that this province has all resources and has a pipeline between Marib and Ras Issa. So Houthi fighters try simply to control the last remaining province in northern Yemen under the control of the Saudi-based internationally recognized government of President Hadi, which is in exile in Saudi Arabia. And so Houthi fighters right now, they place under the perspective of future peace talk and think that they will reinforce the negotiating stance for peace talk. And in that way, if they control the integrity of the entirety of northern Yemen, it means that Yemen will head to another partition, meaning you will have another northern Yemen and southern Yemen, let's say ruled by two different entities, like what happened between 1967 and 1990, and it's exactly the reason of this offensive. Plus also, in addition to that, Houthi has desperately need of income, because the Houthi region is in dire situation. It is facing a large-scale famine, let's say a famine that the world has never known in decades. And Houthi fighters try to find some income for the people living under their authority, under their jurisdiction, and that's why they want to capture the oil whales and the oleoduc, as I said, between Marib and Ras Issa. So Marib province is the only place in Yemen where you have some oil, and that's why it's so strategic place for Houthi fighters. And surprisingly, I mean, these hostilities has resumed, let's say, against the background of a warming relationship between Saudi Arabia and Iran. So it's very, I would say, at first glance, we could think, how come Houthi fighters resume hostilities while Iran tried to warm up its relation with Saudi Arabia? So probably this development is underlying, if you like, the autonomy of Houthi movement, the Houthi authority, should I say, which is probably not controlled fully by Iran, and probably Houthi fighters have their own agenda, which could which could be not the same simply than the Iranian one. And what shows this development that Iran has its own agenda and tries actually to warm its relationship with Saudi Arabia. And probably we could see over the next weeks a reopening of consulate and probably normalization of ties, meaning that an ambassador could be appointed and sent to Iran and Saudi Arabia. Because clearly, from the Saudi perspective, the Mohammed bin Salman Al Saud, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, wants good and special relationship with Iran. How we can explain such development? Because not so long time ago, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia was ready, had absolutely, let's say, nasty words on Iran. So we can explain that probably due to the fact that Iran tries to mend its ties with its neighbor, starting with Saudi Arabia, probably due to the fact that a possible war with Israel could erupt at any time, and Iran tries to simply not to be isolated in the region in case of war with Israel, and that's why probably it tries to mend ties, it tries to do its best, Iran, to mend ties with Saudi Arabia, with also, we see it mends its ties with Iraq, with all the countries in the region, except United Arab Emirates, which clearly do not try to warm up ties with Iran due to the fact that UAE has just recognized, just established diplomatic ties with Israel, like Bahrain, and those two countries probably will not do anything to show a warming sign of with Iran. So we see that major escalation we see between Houthi and Saudi Arabia, which could result actually in new missiles and drone launching towards the Saudi Arabia territory and possibly also towards the Emirati territory, which could bring pushing price up of all prices. So we see it could have major geopolitical consequences, this new offensive of Houthi fighters. That's why we have to follow up exactly what could happen over the next week, whether there will be reprisals of Houthi fighters towards the Saudi territory. Another potential war that we have to follow up is a potential war with North Korea. Over the last weeks, we have seen a major ballistic missile test from North Korea side, testing donc a new submarine launch ballistic missile, which is in total breach of the international sanctions against North Korea. But North Korea now is more determined to be prepared to war than complying with sanctions, and it comes even after that North Korea tested a long-range cruise missile launched from a train, and according to some experts, this missile, this long-range cruise missile, could have been probably tested with a hypersonic warhead. So it shows how major escalation we are seeing right now from North Korea, who tries even now to test some hypersonic warhead. And I just remind to all viewers that hypersonic means that it makes let's say the full circle of the Earth, of the planet. So it shows how fast is developing the ballistic and the hypersonic program of North Korea. And if it's really an hypersonic warhead, it would mean that North Korea is entering into the very close club of those countries who are able to master this technology, who are only two countries officially in the world, Russia and the United States. Perhaps we could include Popular Republic of China, because last week we have had this information from Reuters agency that China has tested hypersonic one, so it could mean that China is belonging now to this club, and perhaps also since now 2-3 weeks we could see also North Korea. So we see that major development in technology we are seeing over the last week. We have not talked during years, decades about hypersonic weapons, and suddenly over the last days we talk about two countries who could have tested hypersonic weapons, China and North Korea. So we see how major development it is. So that's why the White House is calling for an urgent need of dialogue with Pyongyang in order to calm down, to de-escalate the situation, because the US authorities are totally aware that things could slide, could deride to a collision, not to say a war. And from a North-South Korea perspective, also we call for de-escalation. Even more than that, we call for a formal declaration of the end of Korean War. Should I recall to all viewers that this Korean War from 1950 to 1953 has never ended officially through a peace treaty. Instead, it was just a ceasefire, which is still holding more than 60 years later, which is consists of a simple line which lies on the 38 latitude in a place called Panmunjom, and which delimitates, which creates a boundary between South and North Korea. And so we see that from South Korea we call for the end of the war, but from another side, at the same time, the South Korea did the same maneuver than North Korea, meaning launching a ballistic missile from a submarine, so becoming only the 7th country in the world with this technology. So it's very interesting to see that we are really at the crossroad, either to peace between South and North Korea, and at the crossroad also to a war, a major war, probably that both Koreas have never experienced since the end of since the ceasefire of 1953. So it could be really interesting to see in which, if you like, direction we are heading over the next week, either to a potential peace or perhaps to a potential war between both Koreas. Another major ongoing conflict that is right now, which has just erupted again, is the conflict in Tigray. The Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has just launched a major air and ground offensive against the regions under the control of TPLF, and the TPLF is this armed group which has been in power during 30 years in Ethiopia until 2018, and which has run also the Tigray region, and which the Ethiopian power consider as a terrorist organization. And it's the label designed by the Ethiopian government, and which is not recognized actually by any international countries, only by Ethiopia and Eritrea. And so what happened is, in November 2019, a first offensive has been launched, which has been declared, and then the Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has declared victory over TPLF and has officially declared the control of Tigray region by Ethiopian army. But in June of this year, in 2021, TPLF has announced the recapture of not only the capital of Tigray, Mekele, but also of Tigray region, Afar region, Hamara region. So not only they capture their region, but also of neighboring region, which has created, if you like, a total panic, a total, if you like, a chaos in Ethiopia, due to the fact that the Ethiopian government was unable to curb the offensive of TPLF, and that's why this week, a couple of days ago, Abiy Ahmed, the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, has decided to launch again an offensive against TPLF, and which could cause actually a major escalation in the region, due to the fact that Ethiopia could ask for help from Eritrea. So we could see over the next days what happened actually also in November 2019, meaning that some Eritrean soldiers could enter into the Tigray region, and we could see it's potentially possible that also Sudan could intervene in the Tigray conflict to support the Tigray, the TPLF, due to the close links, the close relationship between Sudan and TPLF, while at the same time we are not also it could always also happen that the Egyptian authorities, supported by the Sudanese authority, could decide to bomb the Renaissance Dam, the biggest dam in Africa, due to the fact that the Egyptian authorities are against this dam, which reduce the flow of water over the Nile, which is an existential issue for Sudanese and Egyptian. And the Egyptian authorities and Sudanese authorities could use the weakening of the army, Ethiopian army, which is busy, which is on war on Tigrayan, to bomb the Renaissance Dam, and which could create a potential regional conflict. So we see over those slides that the major escalation conflict could happen, and I not mention all the conflicts that actually could erupt over the next days, next week. I could mention the tense relationship between China and Taiwan. We made a presentation last week, and we saw that there is a potential war between both countries, which could result not only in a regional war, but even in a world war, due to the fact that simply Taiwan has created alliances with the United States and European countries, which could help them and could, if you like, spark a kind of third world war. So we see clearly that now the war is on the verge of major conflict. I could also mention a potential conflict between Iran and Israel. I mean, we don't know exactly what could be the shape of such conflict, whether it will be a war between Hezbollah and Israel or a direct confrontation between Iran and Israel. We see that now we are nearing to such occurrence, to such let's say war, due to the fact that Iran is now very close to enriching the uranium to the threshold of 19%, which is the threshold to have this military nuclear weapon. And so we see a myriad of conflicts that are erupting in the world, and that's why tonight I wanted just to mention some of them. But we see that the world now is facing a major conflict due to the fact that probably we are the pandemic has created, if you like, has widened the gap between rich and poor countries in the world, and probably is pushing, let's say, governments to resort to war to face the outcome of the pandemic. And that's why we are in such situation in this post-COVID-19 world, which is facing a lot of threat. And we will follow up over the next days and weeks on this channel those potential conflict. And also I remind to all viewers that besides presentation, we have also a video which are also which are not presentation but simply a video which relates about hot topics on the geopolitical news, which we are trying to make as often as possible. Thank you for your attention. Don't hesitate to subscribe to this channel. And once again, if you have any question, please let me know.